Okay.
Confirm with Barbara.
rise in body or spirit as you are able to join in the opening hymn, number 1 in the gray hymnal. So those should be in front of you. You might have to share. We'll do all 4 verses. May nothing evil cross this door. Okay. May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry about these windows. May the roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart, though all the world grow chill, will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner moves into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
Good morning. Welcome to this worship service at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. Whether you are joining us in the room or online, we are so glad you are with us today. If you are not too scared of sitting near the front of the sanctuary, there are a bunch of seats in the front 2 rows. You might want to come up so that those who are coming in a little later, because we all know UU Standard Time is plus or minus 10 minutes, those who are coming in on UU Standard Time can find seats in the back. So be brave, come forward. Or don't, you're in charge of yourselves. I am the Reverend Monica Jacobson-Tennessen. I use she, her pronouns, and it is my delight to serve this congregation as minister. We enter into this time together this morning with these words, Invocation, by the Reverend Angela Herrera. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger behind. It has high standards, and the world needs vision. Bring them with you, and your joy and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your power to heal. There is work to do, and you have all you need to do it right here in this community. Come, let us worship together.
Certainly, here in this place we find sanctuary and peace. Here we belong together to share with each other and to know that here we are all accepted as we are, loved as we are, and we are connected to each other at our homes, here on this patch of earth, under the millions of stars, not isolated, but linked. Please join me in our shared affirmation. The words are printed in the order of service. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes and serve the needs of our world.
First song this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Our first song this morning is a love song, and it tells a tale of unexpected tropical romance. It features Barbara Stebbins Rose on vocals, John Schaefer on percussion, and the title is You're the Real Reason.
Planned on staying long. This was just a sunny break. But then a simple weekend song kept adding verses in a funny way. A single empty window seat on a flight that left without delay. You're the real reason that I couldn't go away. An evening where the wind blows sweet through the night across the turquoise of the bay. You're the real reason that I knew I had to stay. With muted face I packed at last. I folded every shirt. Then suddenly the suitcase slipped from my grasp and tumbled in the dirt. A smile crept across your lips, laughter chimed in your voice today. You're the real reason that I couldn't go away. Gentle waves and bobbing ships in a line across the turquoise of the bay. You're the real reason that I knew I had to stay. Holding hands and talking late, strolling by the shore, dreaming now about our fate, anticipating our journey through that door. Would have been easy to admit defeat, roll up my tent and make another start. But you're the real reason for this stirring in my heart. And now you've swept me off my feet, you've made a dent, upset my apple cart. You're the real reason that I know we'll never part. A single empty window seat on a flight that left without delay. You're the real reason that I couldn't go away. An evening where the wind blows sweet through the night across the turquoise of the bay. You're the real reason that I knew I had to stay. You're the real reason that I knew I had to stay. You're the real reason that I knew I had to stay.
In the time just before dawn, as the birds stir and stream airborne with chiming voices, in the trees of the evergreens there is a silent breath that rests there, waiting, as if it were a fragile bubble, filled with a sense of peace. We are called to cup our hands gently and hold this peace, this serenity, in the awe of the birth of a new day. Gently, with our eyes filled with wonder, we open our hearts to support this peace, cradling the hope that comes with each new day. Here we are called to peacefully and gently light 3 chalices in this place, our sanctuary of awe and wonder. The first is to honor our congregation here in Salem, Oregon, and the people who hold this peace. The second is to honor our sister congregation in Šimenfalva, Transylvania, Romania, and the people who have held their peace through centuries. And the third is to light a lantern of peace and discovery for our youth here and across the world, seeking religious and spiritual freedom and exploration. Please help me sing these flames to light. And although we use an alternate tune, the words are found in our gray hymnal on page 362. Rise up, O flame, by thy light showing, show to us beauty, vision and joy.
Each week when we gather, we take what we call a time for all ages, a chance for everyone of every age to engage with our theme in a special way. So if you are a child, a youth, somebody who just wants to come forward, particularly somebody whose body doesn't mind sitting on the ground, you are welcome to come and join us for this story this morning. You're also welcome to sit in the chairs if that is better for you. Please do what's right for you today. Good morning, everyone. I have a question. How did your families decide where you wanted to come today for religious community? Did you look for a place that felt welcoming? Did you just go wherever one of your parents really wanted to go today? Yeah. Did anybody outside of your family tell you where you should go, or was it your family's choice? Did you guys choose? So once upon a time, about 500 years ago in Europe, it was very common for everybody to have to go to the church that the king of their country chose. People didn't get to choose their own religious community. You had to do whatever the king or the prince thought everybody should do. But in Transylvania, there was a time when a young man named János Sigismund became the prince, the leader of the country, and everyone said to him, "Prince János, what religion should we all be?" And he said, "I don't know, actually. I don't think I feel right making that decision for everybody all by myself." So he called together a lot of different people. He called together a Unitarian minister, and a Catholic minister, and a Lutheran minister, and a Calvinist minister, and he had a big meeting in a place called Torda. This was the first time in Europe anybody had done something like this. They were like, "What? Princes are just supposed to tell everybody which church to go to, and maybe lock up the ones who don't go to the right church. What do you mean you want us to get together and decide what to do?" But Prince János said, "I think we should listen to everybody, and then we'll be able to pick the best religion for everyone based on what we hear." Well, when they gathered, the Unitarian minister, whose name was David Ferenc, he said, "I think people should be free to choose their own religion. I think being part of religious community is a gift from God, and it's not any other human's business to tell us what community would be best for us and our family." Does that sound more like what we do now? We pick the places that we know are going to be welcoming for us and nurturing for us. Yeah. So for a little while in Transylvania, almost 500 years ago, all the people of Transylvania, under what they called the Edict of Torda, meaning the declaration that came out of this meeting at Torda, all the people could choose their own places to go and be in religious community. And now we think, well, of course they could, right? But that was a really new idea 500 years ago, to build a whole country of inclusion where people could choose what's right for them. So we're talking a lot about inclusion in our religious education this month. And this is an important story for us to remember, because it was a Unitarian who explained this idea so well that a European country tried it for the first time. And in fact, it was one of the earliest ways of being democratic, letting people make their own choices rather than being told what they have to do. And I think that is a pretty special thing that our spiritual ancestors offered to the whole world. So I know Molly has some more activities for you today about inclusion. So I need the center aisle to make a love arch, please, and we're going to sing you out so you can go do your activities. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Come on up, Craig. I can hear you.
Oh,
Unless you want the handheld, which you can also have.
no. Good morning. So my hair should actually be a little bit more this way because we are at 54%. We have reached 197,000, which is great. There's a lot more work to do, but I believe that we can actually make our goal this year. I'm very excited. So please visit us out in the fellowship hall if you want to fill out a paper form or if you need help filling out online. Yeah. Stevens is our testimonial today.
Morning. My name is Janet Stevens, as Craig told you, and I am a Cradle UU, and I have been a member of UUCS since 2008. Now, there was a time in my life with very little joy when I was unable to be part of a UU community. But eventually I was able to take the necessary steps, and it became possible for me to once again participate in the UU life, and UUCS was here to welcome me, to help me as I recovered and healed, and to allow me to be myself and support me, encourage me, and accept me. Long before I became part of this community, UUCS members and friends made pledges that helped to grow and sustain this community, this church, this congregation. So when the time came that I needed what UUCS had to offer, their pledges had made it possible for me to find a place with love and kindness and community and joy. Right now, out in our community at large, there are a lot of people who are feeling extremely frightened and threatened. Many have already begun to lose their freedoms and rights, not to mention their jobs. Their inherent worth is not being acknowledged, and they are not being treated with dignity. So as the world continues to spiral into chaos and cruelty, more and more people are finding themselves in need of a kind community, a place where there is acceptance and support and understanding and love. I know that I have to do whatever I can to make sure that this place, this congregation, this spiritual community is here, full of compassion and acceptance, and that it's ready to welcome anyone and everyone to a place where there is love and joy. Thank you.
As George makes his way up, I just want to add, so we are in the midst of our pledge drive right now. That's why we are turning Craig's hair from pink to purple as we make progress towards our goal. You do not have to be a member of the congregation in order to pledge. You simply have to be somebody who wants to invest in the future and the flourishing of this community. It is our goal this year that we have 100% participation. So that means returning a pledge form with any amount helps us toward that goal. Do not feel like, oh, what I have to give is too little, it's not worth filling out a pledge form. Whatever commitment is right for you to make, please join us in sustaining this community. And if you have questions, you can go find Craig with the pink and purple hair in the social hall during coffee hour.
Good morning. I'm George Pitter, your Lifeline's representative this morning. Lifeline's lay ministers provide pastoral care to members and friends in times of need. You can identify us by our lavender badges and stoles, which I remembered to put on this morning. We're at the Lifeline's table in the fellowship hall after church, and you can email us at the address at uusalem.org, or you can call the office and leave a message. First, we are all deeply saddened by the loss of Sid Tice at the age of 102. Please turn around and look at the monitor. Sid and Marge French were joyful partners for the past 2 years. And we miss them. From Sarah Roars, please send prayers and healing to my friend Richard, who is dealing with the resurgence of prostate cancer. From Annabelle Gomez, 2 weeks ago, ICE went to my father's job. 5 of his colleagues were taken. None of them had any criminal records. My dad is a permanent resident, but it brought back the trauma of his own deportation experience back in 1983. Keep your thoughts on the families who are left with so much worry. And a joy from Deanna and David Yackel. Our daughter has been accepted into a master's program at Northern Arizona University. We are so happy for her. And we light one last candle for all the joys and concerns that weren't shared with us this morning. Thank you.
Please join in singing, and you may remain seated, the Heart Song, number 1031 in the Teal hymnal, filled with loving kindness. 1031.
Principles of Nonviolence, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. 1. Nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people. It is active, nonviolent resistance to evil. It is assertive spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. It is always persuading the opponent of the justice of your cause. 2. Nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. The end result of nonviolence is redemption and reconciliation. The purpose of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community. 3. Nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice, not people. Nonviolence holds that evildoers are also victims. 4. Nonviolence holds that voluntary suffering can educate and transform. Nonviolence willingly accepts the consequences of its acts. Nonviolence accepts suffering without retaliation. Nonviolence accepts violence if necessary, but will never inflict it. Unearned suffering is redemptive and has tremendous educational and transforming possibilities. Suffering can have the power to convert the enemy when reason fails. 5. Nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. Nonviolence resists the violence of the spirit as well as of the body. Nonviolent love gives willingly, knowing that the return might be hostility. Nonviolent love does not sink to the level of the hater. Love for the enemy is how we demonstrate love for ourselves.
Thank you, Ariana. Whether or not there is federal recognition, we can still share and honor Black history now and, in fact, in any month. Because Black American history is American history, just like European American history, and disabled American history, and LGBTQIA+ American history, and Indigenous American history. You can complete the list for yourself. But today, not only is it a Sunday in February, a month that is traditionally focused on sharing Black American history, we are also contemplating the practice of awe. And the civil rights movement is a source of awe for me, maybe for you too. The people who participated in it practiced what we can identify as practices of awe for spiritual grounding during difficult times. Does anybody feel like this topic might be relevant? Yeah, okay, I see some hands. We can do this. Excellent. The depth of commitment to nonviolence that was taught and practiced and lived by so many in the civil rights movement is not only about refusing to use violence oneself. It is about creating a world in which profound respect and care for everyone, including those who are not currently displaying any respect or care for you, is foundational. It makes me think of the recent work by Ruth Wilson Gilmore, who is a Black American prison scholar. She looks at what the current carceral justice system does and does not do in our lives and communities. And she says, when you look at societies that have much less punitive justice systems, societies that never use the death penalty, societies that focus on rehabilitation rather than locking people up for huge lengths of time, the murder rates actually go down. Because as she says, where life is precious, life is precious. A consistent ethic and practice that believes no person is disposable permeates even to people who might be on the verge of taking another's life. This type of practice matters, and it gives me goosebumps, which is a sign of awe. So a couple years ago, a UC Berkeley professor named Dacher Keltner wrote a book titled Awe, and it's about awe. Exactly. Dr. Keltner studies the science of emotion, and he says, as a young researcher, he started out looking at what we traditionally say are the fundamental human emotions: sad, mad, glad, scared, surprised, and disgusted. These are the ones that you can find in photographs of human faces across cultures around the world. Everybody experiences and expresses these things in very similar ways. But, as a young researcher, he went to his doctoral advisor and was like, I think there might be more than 6. Can I add one? Can that be my research area? And this put him on the path to including awe as one of the fundamental human emotions, again expressed in the body in ways that resonate across times and places and cultures. He defines awe this way. Awe is the feeling we get in the presence of something vast that challenges our understanding of the world. This might be like looking up at millions of stars in the night sky or marveling at the birth of a child. When people feel awe, he says, they may use other words to describe the experience, such as wonder, amazement, surprise, or transcendence. He then goes on to speculate that the experience of awe emerged from early experiences of overwhelming natural phenomena. Floods, storms, waterfalls. Maybe you felt some awe at the atmospheric river we've been having this weekend. And he speculates that as social primates, our ancestors felt the need to huddle together in the face of these overwhelming natural experiences, perhaps for as mundane a reason as warmth. If there is a lot of water coming at you, you will get cold. Noticing awesome forces like sudden winds, thunder and lightning, and so on, then causes our bodies to respond in ways that prompt us to gather with others, like our hair standing on end or getting chills. And he speculates this would have helped individuals survive and then be passed on to their offspring until we come into the world hardwired with responses to being in the presence of something vast, including vast that is not a danger. Things like a glorious coral piece or seeing a double rainbow. Those things don't threaten us, but they might give us the chills. Keltner goes on to define 8 categories for the experience of awe. He talks about moral beauty. This might be a courageous act that saves another person. He talks about collective effervescence when we have shared experiences across a group, maybe participating in a political rally or march. Nature is a source of awe. Music is a source of awe. Visual art, spirituality and religion. Mortality, being in the presence of the beginning or the end of life. And moments of epiphany or insight can all be sources of awe. Now, I want to tell you that Keltner began writing this book after the death of his brother, with whom he had been close his whole life. They were only a few years apart in age. And he said after Rolf died, It was so hard for me to feel awe because I was so deep in my grief. So I decided to make a practice of putting myself in a position to feel awe as often as I could, to cultivate what I needed to keep that alive in my life. So do not feel like, well, times are hard. This isn't a great time for awe. It is always possible to access this spiritual and emotional experience. In Keltner's work, he and other researchers compare what they call the default self of modern American life, that is the, we might say, outsized sense of the self, the individual, with the smaller self produced by experiences of awe. So here's one study they did. Yang Bai, another researcher from Berkeley, went to 2 different locations, Yosemite Valley and Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. In each location, she went up to visitors and said, I'd like to ask you to participate in this experiment. I'm going to give you a piece of paper. It was a piece of graph paper for consistency, because science. And I'm going to ask you to draw a picture of yourself. People could draw a large picture, a small picture. They could label it in big letters or small letters. She said that the people in Yosemite who were in the experience of natural awe drew smaller figures of themselves and labeled them in smaller letters compared to the people at Fisherman's Wharf. I would call this right-sizing. So often in American culture, we either have an outsized conception of ourselves, I can do everything, and I can do it totally individually and never ask for any help. And by the way, I am basically a superhero. Or we swing right into a too small sense of self. I am so powerless and insignificant, and I can't help anyone or do anything or affect any change, so I think I'll just crawl under my bed and stay there. It is important to right-size ourselves, to know that we are not all-powerful and we are not powerless. And in fact, that much of our power comes from being in community with others. The researchers carried out similar studies where they put people in situations like viewing dinosaur skeletons or attending orchestra concerts or standing on a high observation deck with a beautiful view as they gazed out over the Bay Area. And in every instance, they found that experiences of awe produced a more expansive view of life, a greater sense of humility, more identification of relationship with others, and a greater awareness of the many, many forces acting on and influencing their lives beyond their own agency. Not being powerless, but recognizing that so much happens in our lives that we personally do not make happen and need to acknowledge and incorporate into our understanding of the world. So in other words, experiencing awe reconnects us to the facts that we already know, that we are not creatures of pure independence and isolation, but instead we are each a strand on the interdependent web of all that lives. So if you feel isolation or despair or powerlessness in the coming weeks, you can say, my minister gave me a prescription. I'm supposed to go have an experience of awe. I think I'd better go hiking in the mountains. I think I'd better go to an orchestra concert. Hello, art museum. My minister told me to come look at art for a while. Do this. And be part of experiences of collective effervescence. Collective effervescence is a phrase that comes from a sociologist named Emil Durkheim, who talked about the experience of doing something together, being all caught up in doing it together. Have you ever been in a stadium where people are doing the wave? Yeah? You've been part of collective effervescence. This can be all kinds of things. If you stayed after the service last Sunday for our dance party, you were part of collective effervescence. If you've ever been in a crowd of people cheering you've been part of collective effervescence. If you remember the solar eclipse we had in the Willamette Valley in 2017, yeah, I was in a park with, my family and another family we knew and a lot of strangers. And it did not matter because when the moon covered the sun, we all quietly went, oh. Which Dacher Keltner says is one of the fundamental vocalizations of awe. He says, people are feeling awe when they say, whoa, whoa, ah, and woohoo! He did an experiment with a GoPro mounted on the front of a rafting boat to see how people experienced awe as they went down the rapids. There were a lot of woohoos of awe in that boat. And to me, this experience of collective effervescence, this experience of awe in the presence of moral beauty, so often comes up when I listen to or read stories from the American Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s. In 2011, Vincent Harding, a Black American who was a civil rights leader, was on Krista Tippett's show On Being, and he told this story. He said, whenever somebody jokes about a kumbaya moment, have you ever heard jokes about a kumbaya moment? He says, whenever I hear that, my mind goes back to the Mississippi summer experience, where the movement folks in Mississippi were bringing people in from all over the country, especially students, college students, to come and help with voter registration and to teach in freedom schools. They came for 2 weeks of orientation, and during the first week, several people were there and then were arrested and ultimately murdered. The word came back to us at orientation that the 3 of them had disappeared, had not been heard from. We feared the worst. And Bob Moses, the magnificent leader of so much of the work in Mississippi, got up and he told these hundreds of young people, predominantly white young people from outside of Mississippi, that if they needed to go home or go back to their schools, we would not think less of them at all, but we would be grateful to them for how far they had come. But, he said, let's take a couple hours to think about it. You can get in line for the payphone and call your parents. You can talk to whoever you need to try to make this decision and make it in the next couple hours. Vincent Harding remembers moving among these groups of students, and he says, what I found as I walked among the small groups that began to gather to help each other think about this, was that in group after group, people began singing Kumbaya. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Someone's missing, Lord, come by here. They sang together, spontaneously. And he says, I could never laugh at Kumbaya moments after that, because I saw that almost no one went home from there. They were going to continue on the path that they had committed themselves to. And a great part of the reason why they were able to do that was because of the strength and the power and the commitment that they had gained through the experience of being together and singing together. I get chills just telling you this story. There is so much that is strengthened in us through these acts of shared experience. There is a reason that protest movement songs retain their power generation after generation, even as new ones come to join them. There is a value in moving together, which in fact reassures our unconscious minds that we are connected. An incredibly simple study a few years ago asked students at a summer camp to sit together at tables. At one table, the students sat together, they could do whatever activity. At another table, the students sat together and they were all asked to string beads to make necklaces. But they could string them any way they wanted. They could pick the beads any way they felt like it. And at the third table, the students were given instructions to string the same beads in the same order at the same time. Those who had made those matching bead necklaces felt more connected to each other and less lonely after they left the table. Noticing that others around us are doing the same thing as us tells us that we are connected. So if you've ever wondered, why do we rise to sing? Well, standing up and singing together reinforces that we are a community. If you've ever gone on a protest march and felt really bonded to the people walking next to you, you have told your unconscious mind, I am part of this community. I am not alone. I am with these folks. And who knows, maybe we'll string beads in the social hall sometime, just as another way of reminding us all that we are connected. In times of isolation and fear and struggle, I am in favor of everything we can practice that helps us right-size ourselves through awe and reminds us that we are deeply interconnected. Maybe you also see the value in these practices. If you are able, I hope you will stay after the service today because we're going to have a hymn sing, which is another way of creating connection and collective effervescence. Also, our hymnal has a lot of really good stuff in it, so come hang out, sing some songs. As I was preparing this sermon, I ran across this quote, which is both funny and wise, from Utah Phillips, who was a white American labor organizer, a folk singer, a storyteller, a poet, and a longtime Unitarian Universalist. He helped start the UU congregation in Grass Valley, California, and this is how he describes his first experience visiting a UU church. He said, as we consumed the sacramental Unitarian beverage, coffee, I heard any number of the congregation go up to the minister and begin vigorously discussing the substance of the sermon. Wait a minute, who's in charge here? Well, it took me a solid year to figure out that I was in charge here. I seem to have run upon an enclave of intelligent, articulate, engaged human beings who had individually taken charge of their spiritual lives and wanted to undertake the great adventure together. The realization of Joseph Campbell's dream when he said, what we want is to be completely human and in each other's company. I can think of no more important time in our history or our present for this. Let us be completely human and in each other's company so that we can sustain each other and make a difference in our world. May it be so. Please join with me now in a spirit of meditation or reflection or prayer. We share these words from Marjorie Bowens Wheatley and Clyde Grubbs, invoking the awe of interconnection with our spiritual ancestors. The road of history is long, full of both hope and disappointment. In times past, there have been wars and rumors of wars, violence and exploitation, hunger and homelessness, and destruction of this earth. We have become a global village with a growing realization of how fragile this earth is and how interconnected we are to each other and to all creation. We cannot continue to live in the old way. We must make a change, see a new way, a way toward peace with justice and a healthy planet. Oh, great creative spirit, you have given a vision of the good, and we yearn for a new way. But where are we to find the courage to undertake this work? We know that a different tomorrow is possible, but how can we build it? We think of the prophets, women and men and all people who voiced unpopular opinions, who made personal sacrifices, and sometimes lost their lives for the sake of justice. We think of Harriet Tubman, who called out to people of goodwill to join her on an underground railroad, to lift a dehumanized people from the bondage of slavery to the promise of freedom, even when it meant challenging unjust laws. Let us be inspired by those who are outlaws for freedom. We think of Gandhi, whose belief in soul force, the witness to love's truth, helped to overthrow the oppression of an empire and gave witness to the way of nonviolent action. Let us be inspired to become witnesses for peace. We think of Chief Seattle, who reminded us that we belong to the earth, not the earth to us. Let us be inspired by all those who work for the healing of creation, of Mother Earth, and all her creatures. Who are the prophets who inspire you? May they join a great cloud of witnesses to a new way of life, the way of peace and justice, the way of justice lived according to the way of peace, the beloved community. So may it be. Amen.
This is the time in our Sunday service when we pause. We pause to receive an offering. Every Unitarian Universalist congregation is self-supporting. We depend on each other to use our resources to support this place, and with that support, each other. All funding for what we do comes from the contributions of our members and our friends. Each month, we also share our offering with a community organization that reflects our values and hopes that we have for the world around us. This month, we are donating to the Marion Pope Food Share, as well as placing donations for food goods in our little red wagon. This is time to engage in the spiritual practice of generosity, remembering that each person has the power to give and share what is reasonable and meaningful for them. We combine our gifts and talents to continually build this place, give it strength, and to uphold each other. Together, we can do so much more than any single one of us can do alone. Our offering is an invitation to gratitude. Gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, for our network of relationships, and for the presence of this community. Here is a chance to bring gratitude to mind. If you're here for the first time, we consider you a guest. But if you are so moved to donate to our offering, we will be so very grateful. We pass the offering baskets here in the sanctuary. You may contribute online, or you may use the QR code on the order of service or on our webpage, where you may also contribute. Please know that whatever you give, whether it's resources or time or love, it's graciously and gratefully accepted. Thank you. Two simple words that mean so very much.
This next song celebrates our ability to express love through seemingly ordinary actions. The title is Our Love Language.
with a hasty scratch. And when my brain felt sort of glitchy, you rebooted me with a tasty snack. When we're speaking in our love language, there's not a single word, yet nothing is ever lost in translation. It's the fluency that is preferred. When we're speaking in our love language, when our hearts are near, no phrase book, no footnotes, no subtitles are required, 'cause everything is clear. When I was tired, but the dog had whined, you found the leash and took her out. For prized possessions that you couldn't find, I searched in every corner of the house. When we're speaking in our love language, there's not a single word, yet nothing is ever lost in translation. It's the fluency that is preferred. When we're speaking in our love language, when our hearts are near, no phrase book, no footnotes, no subtitles are required, 'cause everything is clear. When I was frightened by a spider, you bravely tossed it in the yard. When next you need a kind confider, I will be there when times are hard. When we're speaking in our love language, there's not a single word, yet nothing is lost or lost in translation. It's the fluency that is preferred. When we're speaking in our love language, when our hearts are clear, no phrase book, no footnotes, no subtitles are required. Everything is clear.
A couple announcements, one of the final rituals of our gathering. Next Sunday, Marcia Christensen will be speaking on the topic, What is Lent? So if you are one of the many and varied Unitarian Universalists who do not observe Lent as a spiritual practice, and you're curious what's behind it for folks who do, you can come and hear as Marcia explains why she observes the practice of Lent and what she has learned from asking others about their practices. You don't have to do it yourself. Just come and be curious. We also have a weekly update that comes out every Friday via email. If you don't currently receive that and you would like to, you can stop by the welcome table and get signed up for that. It will help you know what all is going on in this increasingly busy community, which is great. It's great to be busy. I hope you will join us after the service for coffee in Hanneman Hall, and then come back into the sanctuary and sing hymns together for a while. It is. Oh, sorry. John says we'll be singing in the fellowship hall. So you don't need to down your coffee quickly. You can go in there for coffee and stay put for music. Thank you for that update. I'm always mindful that people are sensitive about coffee on sanctuary carpets. So I'm like, how fast do you have to drink it? Not that fast.
Truth and justice are two of the most important values we hold as a community. Each week we take the flame from our congregational chalice and light a lantern for social justice. We hope that this light will glow and grow for the truth that will fill the darkness with brightness, and that justice someday will truly come for all. This world is an amazing place. The wonder of the natural world, the beauty of each sunrise, and the awe we felt at the expanse of a starlit sky. Snow, rain, moonlight, sunshine, all part of science and nature, and yet wonderful in every way. That awe and wonder are a part of each and every day. As we release the flames of our chalices and we see the smoke rise to the expanse above us, we know the energy of the universe will hold us and guide us today and tomorrow.
Please join me in the closing hymn, number 1018 in the teal hymnal, Come and Go With Me. Rise in body or spirit as you are able. One more time. We'll do all 4 verses. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm gone, where I'm gone. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm gone, where I'm gone. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm gone, where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. Woo!
Let's remember the words shared here today, the inspiring music, the feeling of community, and as we go our separate ways, let us hold the love we share and the wonder of each other through every day As you're willing and able, please join hands or touch a shoulder and repeat the words. You'll find them in our order of service.
But you have no free hands anymore.
Sorry. May faith in
In the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.
Blessed
Yay. Thank you. Yay. Oh, that was good fun. Thank you. Well, you must be. Now, you're not done yet. You should go get a cup of coffee, get a little donut hole or something. I know. Yes, me too. That's right. Well, I'll be here. There's a men's group. They're meeting, so I'm staying. Some of the men will not be there. They'll be meeting. Yeah, behind a closed door. Shall I help you put the... Good job, good job. I totally screwed up some of the words at the end. I lost my concentration, and it's like, oh, well, so what? Oh, so you didn't know. So it was the very last one. I said, oh, look at this stool.